Hi there. In a moment, you're going to hear two people having an in-depth conversation about my photography, my struggles building this community, and about many of your comments from the past 6 months. Here's the twist though, neither of them exist and they haven't actually watched any of my videos. Sounds strange, right? Trust me, you'll want to see this. Stay tuned. Welcome! If you're new here, my name is Jan Malmgren. I'm a Swedish photographer, ecologist and writer. And this weekend I was out shooting autumn colors. More of that coming up in a future episode. As I was sitting out there, taking it all in, drinking my coffee, I also replied to a few comments I had received on recent episodes. You know that I answer each and every one, so keep them coming. Doing that, I came up with the idea of summing up the first 6 months of this channel. It has been a while since I did a Q&A synthesis, so when I got back home again, I read through it all and wrote a manuscript of sorts, addressing and highlighting some of all the great feedback and questions you folks have given me. However, one of my major problems is that I am not a native English speaker. I stumble on words and it takes a long time to say what I want to say. I'm working on it and I hope you are patient. Anyway, I quickly realized that this would be a long episode. But then, thanks to photographer Adam Gibbs, I stumbled upon an AI thing called Google NotebookLM and thought it would be interesting to see what an AI could do with what I threw at it. In this case, my quite lengthy manuscript, and also getting the results of the analysis presented as a conversation made by one AI pretending to be two persons chatting about it in a third-person podcast style. I think it turned out quite interesting, sometimes even hilarious. So I decided to post it here together with some video clips from the episodes to highlight the comments and questions I am addressing. It became a bit of a best of collection, you could say. For those of you who are new to this channel, this episode may hopefully serve as a presentation of who I am as a photographer and give you a heads up on which episodes to watch if you find anything of particular value to you. I have included links in the video where a certain episode is mentioned. There are also chapters in the description below if you want to skip to a certain segment. And to those of you who already follow me, this episode will hopefully highlight a few of the comments I have received as I answer them, through an AI of course. I think there are a few golden nuggets in there for you as well. If you like this sort of content and agree with my attempt of building a sense of community with people appreciating photography, don't forget to subscribe. You know, subscribing, liking, commenting, all of that means a huge amount to a small new channel. So thank you very much. Okay then, let's jump into the content and see what my AI peers have to say about my channel. Enjoy.
Okay, so today we're doing something a bit different, kind of a shortcut deep dive. We're looking at reflections from a specialist content creator, Jan Malmgren. He is a Swedish photographer, but also an ecologist and writer. And what's really interesting here, I think, is that we're not just going to be talking camera settings or lenses.
No, definitely not. We're really digging into, well, a whole philosophy of creation. It's a great look at how an expert balances the super technical stuff.
Like medium format photography, yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing, with the really personal, almost therapeutic reasons behind why someone makes art.
So our mission really is to pull out those key strategic nuggets for you. We're talking the economics of long videos versus shorts.
Which is always a hot topic.
Always. And also how this one creator is, well, actively pushing back against what you might call online brandism.
That's a fascinating angle.
But let's kick off with something I found really compelling right away. This guy, Jan, he's actually uncomfortable being called a YouTuber.
Yeah, that jumped out at me too. It's a great little nugget to start with.
Right.
He explicitly says, that label feels awkward.
So what does he prefer?
He sees himself as a photographer who happens to be building a community online, not, a creator chasing the algorithm or trends.
That distinction feels important. It tells you right off the bat that his focus is squarely on the craft itself.
Exactly. It's not just about getting views for views' sake. Success for him was different.
Right. It's about the depth of engagement, not just the raw numbers, which, let's be honest, kind of flips the usual online playbook completely on its head.
It really does.
So let's unpack that. How has this sort of craft-driven community actually developed since he started the channel back in April 2025?
Well, in those 6 months, he put out 16 pretty substantial long-form videos and just a handful of shorts.
Okay. 16 long ones is quite a pace for solo work.
It is. And the community response seems really high quality. He describes the comments as thoughtful, challenging, poetic, technical. Sounds less like a comment section, more like a dialogue.
Yeah, like peers talking.
Yeah.
And you can really see that connection, that depth in how people respond to specific videos. He gives the example of the Seascape episode.
Yeah, on the Swedish West Coast.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
And he highlights this quote from someone named Putra in Poland. It's quite striking. Stunning minimalist landscapes, calm, pure, and poetic. Elegant simplicity captures vast emotions, turning space, silence, and light into timeless beauty.
Wow. I mean, feedback like that really tells you he's achieving his goal, right? He's connecting on an emotional level, selling an experience, not just showing off gear.
Definitely. But achieving that depth seems to come with its own strategic challenges. And this is where we get into that paradox of short-form content.
Right. The shorts conundrum. We all know they can be like rocket fuel for view counts.
Explosive reach.
But Jan observed they were actually, in his words, counterproductive for his specific aims.
Counterproductive? That seems strong. Why?
Well, his finding was that each short seemed to immediately, and this is his phrasing, kill the interest for his longer, more in-depth videos.
Kills the interest.
Yeah. And maybe even more importantly, they didn't actually translate into new engaged subscribers joining the community he's trying to build.
Okay, that is a critical insight, especially for anyone listening who's building a niche audience, maybe in a creative field.
Absolutely. If your aim is to, teach something complex or share a really deep reflective experience, maybe that quick hit content just gives people a taste.
And they don't feel the need to go deeper.
Exactly. It sort of satisfies the immediate curiosity without actually inviting them into the richer world you've built.
Yeah.
So that short-term win on views doesn't build the long-term community value he wants. He's clearly prioritizing the quality of the subscriber over the sheer quantity of reach.
So a viewer finding him via a quick short might just scroll right past the 30-minute deep dive on, say, the nature of life.
Precisely. And that deep dive is where the real connection, the community building happens for him. So it's a conscious choice to focus on the learner, the person who's really willing to invest the time, like you listening now.
And that focus, that commitment to depth, clearly requires a ton of effort behind the camera. He talked about the hidden challenge of solo production too.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's not the talking to the camera part he finds hardest.
No, what then?
It's actually filming the B-roll. Specifically, filming different angles of himself while he's in the act of taking photographs.
Oh, right. The process shots.
Yeah. Think about the time investment. To show the craft accurately, he has to step out of the creative moment, set up another camera, go back, pretend to compose or shoot.
Then retrieve the camera, move it. Yeah, that sounds incredibly time-consuming and breaks the flow.
Totally. It really underlines his identity, doesn't it? He's a photographer first, trying to document his work. That's way more complex than, say, a vlogger just pointing a camera at their face all day.
And that intense personal drive, that commitment, leads us right into his core philosophy, because this seems to be the real heart of the channel.
It really does. He's quite open about it. The channel exists, he admits, for deeply personal reasons.
Yeah, he calls it a creative outlet to basically force himself back into serious photography.
After what he describes as a year of grief and letting things slide, that's pretty raw.
It is. It immediately makes you think, okay, this isn't just about YouTube metrics or monetization. This is about personal recovery almost.
Yeah, using the structure of the channel for accountability. A way to, as he puts it, turn things around physically and mentally.
And that personal motivation completely changes how he defines photographic success. It's not about bagging award-winning photos from every hike.
No, not at all. For him, it's about being out there in nature, experiencing it, taking it all in, and then just trying to capture the essence of that feeling.
The attempt is the success, in a way.
Kind of, and that internal, almost therapeutic driver is exactly why I think the audience connects so deeply. He mentioned the feedback on his Finding Peace Through Photography episode was really strong.
People resonated with the monologue, apparently, and appreciated the whole idea of these forest bath hikes encouraging you to just slow down.
It's relatable. Which brings us to probably his most actionable bit of advice for you, the listener, this whole rejection of Brandism.
Yes. Let's get into that. This feels key.
Absolutely. He argues pretty strongly that to really get those mental and creative benefits from photography, you have to rise above Brandism.
Meaning
You need to focus relentlessly on the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Light, composition, your subject, not the logo on your camera.
The camera's just a tool. Doesn't matter if it's an iPhone, a Fuji, a Hasselblad, an OM system, whatever.
Exactly. The brand, the model.
Yeah.
Ultimately irrelevant to the act of seeing and capturing. The photographer makes the image, not the gear.
So his advice isn't don't buy good gear, because he clearly uses high-end stuff like the Fujifilm GFX system.
Right. He's not anti-gear. He's anti-identifying with the gear.
Ah, okay. Don't let your identity become the Fuji shooter or the Canon guy.
Precisely. Identify with the photography itself. And maybe even more importantly, identify with what the practice of photography does for you as a person. If it helps you become, a better, more mindful person.
That's the real win, the gold star, as he puts it.
That's the gold star.
Okay, so that focus on the tool, but not the brand, leads us perfectly into the more technical sections, because even while preaching anti-brandism, he does give some very specific, high-value advice on choosing and using specialized tools.
Yeah, he's pragmatic too. Let's start with filters. Super important for landscape folks. His episode on NDs and graduated NDs was apparently very popular.
NDs being neutral density, GNDs graduated neutral density.
Right, yep. And he mentions his current preferred system for square filters is the Haida M10 II.
Okay.
Though he also notes he uses case filters and used LE filters in the past, which kind of hints that the conversation needs to evolve, right? Not just which system, but when to use filters. Or maybe even when not to use them at all.
That's a good point. Avoidance can be a skill too. What about UV filters? Always a debate there.
Ah, yes, the UV filter question. His take is surprisingly practical, almost mundane.
How so?
He uses them simply to protect the front element of his lenses. That's it.
No claims about image quality improvement or anything.
Well, he basically says, look, over the years, I've broken or badly scratched several cheap UV filters, but I've never damaged an actual front lens element.
Okay, so it's pure insurance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He figures any potential tiny negligible negative effect on image quality is vastly outweighed by the cost and hassle of repairing a main lens. It's a simple risk calculation.
Makes sense. Very real-world perspective. Okay, next big technical topic. The elephant in the studio, maybe. Medium format.
The big guns. Yeah, his video comparing digital medium format systems got a lot of attention, especially, it seems, after Hasselblad announced the X2D MK2
Right, that probably spurred a lot of interest. And this is where he made that statement that caused a bit of a stir, the one he had to clarify later.
He said something like, if you stay away from the first models, the GFX 50S and the Hasselblad X1D 50C, I think there are so many great cameras that are very relevant today.
Okay, wait, hold on. If he's Mr. Anti-Brandism and he acknowledges taking some of his favorite shots with that original GFX 50S, why specifically advise avoiding those first-gen models? Sounds a little like upgrade pressure, doesn't it?
I see why you'd say that, but his clarification puts it in a different light. It's more of a tactical recommendation, not really a philosophical shift.
How so?
He explains that yes, those first-gen cameras were absolutely revolutionary, groundbreaking, but they also came with certain quirks and limitations, things that were frankly ironed out pretty quickly in the second-generation model.
Okay, like handling issues or menu weirdness.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. His core point is pretty simple. If you're in the market for a used medium format body today, and the price difference between a first-gen and a second-gen model is minimal.
Which sometimes it can be.
Right. Then, he argues, you should probably go for the second generation because the manufacturer already fixed those known, obvious issues. It's about a smoother user experience, less friction.
Ah, okay. So it's not about the fundamental image quality being bad on the originals.
Not at all. He doubles down on that. He concludes both the GFX 50S and the X1D 50C are perfectly capable, fine tools if you know their limitations and work around them.
It's an efficiency argument then. Why wrestle with a known quirk if a slightly newer model for similar money doesn't have it?
That's basically it. Practical advice for someone buying used.
Got it. Okay, let's move on to maybe the most technically demanding bit, tilt and shift lenses, TS lenses.
Ooh, yeah. Specialized beasts. His video demonstrating the Fujifilm GF 30mm TS lens apparently got the most comments.
Why so much interest?
Mainly because, as he notes, there just aren't that many videos out there showing real-life use of these things, especially the native GF ones. They're expensive and maybe a bit intimidating.
Sure. And this is where that community aspect really paid off, right?
Absolutely. He highlights a contribution from a listener named Paul, who chimed in with some really valuable alternatives to that pricey GF 30mm TS.
Like what?
Paul suggested things like adapting older manual focus Mamiya 645 TS lenses, which can be found cheaper, or using specialized tilt shift adapters, or even Cambo systems between the camera body and a standard GF lens.
Okay, that's fantastic community input. It reinforces the whole philosophy, doesn't it? Shared knowledge beats chasing the latest, most expensive, specific piece of gear.
Exactly, but let's make sure we nail the core technical takeaway here. Based on his footage and explanation, we need to be crystal clear on the difference between tilt and shift. They do very different things.
Okay, let's break it down. What's the rule for, say, architecture or interior photography?
Right. If you're shooting buildings, inside or out, remember this. It is almost entirely about shifting.
Shifting the lens up or down or side to side. Why?
Shifting fixes perspective distortion. You know when you tilt the normal camera up to get the top of a tall building in?
Yeah, the vertical lines all look like they're falling inwards, converging.
Exactly. Shifting the lens element upwards physically moves the image circle relative to the sensor without tilting the camera body itself. This keeps those vertical lines parallel and straight. It makes buildings look upright, not like they're leaning back.
So it's all about keeping lines true. What about tilting in architecture?
Almost never used. Tilting messes with the plane of focus in ways that usually aren't helpful for architecture. So architecture shift.
Got it. Shift for lines. So what about landscape photography then? Is it the opposite?
Pretty much. Landscape is primarily about tilt.
Tilting the lens element forward or back?
Usually tilting it downward towards the ground. This changes the angle of the plane of sharp focus. Instead of being parallel to the sensor, you can angle it like a wedge.
Ah, the famous wedge focus. So you can get like a flower right in front of you sharp and the distant mountains sharp, all at a wide aperture.
That's the classic use case, yeah. Maximum depth of field without stopping the lens down to f/22. Tilting upwards can create those sort of miniature model world effects or weird selective focus bands.
Okay, so tilt manipulates the focus plane for depth. What about shifting in landscapes?
Shifting in landscapes is less common for perspective control, more often used for expanding the view, like creating super high-resolution panoramas. You shift left, take a shot, shift right, take another, stitch them together. You get a wider view without physically moving the camera or introducing parallax errors.
Okay, that contrast is super helpful. Architecture, shift for perspective, landscape, tilt for focus plane, critical difference depending on what you're shooting.
Absolutely. And it all comes back to choosing the right tool or the right function of the tool for the specific creative problem. It's not about the lens brand itself.
Which brings us full circle, doesn't it? We've gone deep into technical details, filter systems, medium format generations, the very specific uses of tilt versus shift, but it's all been grounded in this core philosophy that the gear is ultimately just a means to an end, a tool.
It's a great synthesis, I think. The pursuit of technical skill, of photographic excellence, isn't the end goal in itself for him. It's the vehicle.
The vehicle for being, well, a better, more connected, maybe healthier person.
Right.
The real aim, like he said, is to identify with the photography what you do with it and what it does for you. That feels like the central takeaway we want you, the listener, to really hold on to from this.
Definitely.
Welcome back. And if you're still here, thank you. I hope you like this AI resume of a few highlights from the first 6 months of this channel. Personally, I'm quite intrigued by the explosive growth of AI that we're in the middle of. I don't plan to use AI tools that much on this channel though. This episode was an explorative exception. And here and there, it is actually quite funny hearing an AI mimicking human emotions, like where it said, "Ah, the Swedish West Coast, it's beautiful." So, what do you think? How are we doing with this channel so far? Please leave a comment. Also, if you want to keep yourself updated with what I do here, please subscribe and click that bell icon if you haven't already. I really appreciate if you give me a thumbs up and share. It means a lot to this idea of building a small community of photographers. There's a lot more content from this channel to watch if you click on the playlist. Okay, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.